in Britain. Adil Khan, 51 years old, and Kwari Abdul Rao, 53, were convicted in 2012 of a series of sexual offences against young girls and jailed later the same year. It's one of the most infamous grooming gang scandals in the UK. I say one of because it seems to be happening in pretty much every town and city, as far as I can tell, and shows no signs of stopping. But the big question remains, why has it taken so long for them to be deported to another country? And why has it cost us, you, me, everyone we know, the taxpayer apparently, so much money? I've got loads of questions on this one right now, and to answer, hopefully, some of those is UK immigration lawyer Harjap Singh Bangal. Thank you very much, Harjap. Great to have you back on the show. First things first, are they definitely going to be deported now, or is there another layer of this legal onion that they can pick through?
They'll try. I mean, they've been trying for 7-odd years. However, it does pretty much look like the judges aren't having it anymore. And they've pretty much said, look, we're disgusted at the crime and more disgusted at the denial that these people are still in after having done it and having been sentenced, and the refusal to accept, look, the nature of their crime and the severity of their crime. And they just seem to be dismissing it
as, you know, isn't it?
It's not too bad. Yeah.
That's exactly it. The judge even said that they've shown little to no remorse. You're right there. One of those particular depraved child abusers said they hadn't committed that big of a crime. Apparently one of them wanted to stay in the country so he could be a role model to his own children. I mean, it makes me feel physically sick.
Yeah, can't make that sort of stuff up, really. I mean, it's just when they say a drowning man clutches at straws, that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, they know what they've done. They've been sentenced for it. Perhaps what would have helped their case was if they'd said, look, we put our hands up, what we did was wrong, we want to be an example and tell people to say, don't do this again. These were our reasons for doing it. But just staying in denial, you know, showing no remorse, you're not going to get any sympathy from judges. And this is what the decision has been. Look, they're going to send them to Pakistan. Yeah,
now, were they trying to claim, as part of the European Convention on Human Rights, that it would break their human rights in order to face deportation? I know a lot of people will be shouting at their TV screens now, going, what about the human rights of the young girls that were raped and abused and impregnated and all of this stuff? But they were trying to use the ECHR, is that right?
They were trying to use the Human Rights Act and trying to use everything they could, basically. Elements of UK law, elements of international law, to say, look, we shouldn't be sent back. We don't actually hold Pakistan. We've renounced our Pakistani citizenship. That was their main argument in all of this, to say, look, you can't send us back. We'll be stateless. Pakistan won't accept us. That was dismissed by the judge. Everybody's entitled to have human rights, you know, even criminals. And so that's what the legal system is there for. It's there to assess whether their human rights will be impacted and weigh it up against the human rights of others. Because they have to, the judges then have to look, are you going to be a threat to others' human rights? Because if so, then your human rights
you say that,
do not weigh
exactly.
As much. Yeah.
That's the big thing, and it's that question, isn't it? In my opinion, these people will never not be a threat. Certainly when you look at some of the things that they've done. Khan, for example, got a 13-year-old girl pregnant, denied he was the father. There's been various different things taking place as well throughout the course of this. 47 vulnerable young girls in Rochdale between 2008 and 2010, not all by those two. They were part of a wider gang as well. But this is taking place left, right and centre, up and down the country. I reported on the Telford grooming gang scandal. There's been one in Manchester. They're everywhere. Rotherham, Keighley. I mean, there seems to be no end in sight with all of this stuff. And a lot of people might be quite flabbergasted to know that the taxpayer is paying for their legal defence, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they're entitled to legal aid. Deportation is a key thing. So even in their criminal case, they would have got legal aid, and you know that runs up into thousands. But I don't think we can say that this sort of stuff is happening everywhere. There are grooming gangs, and there is evidence of grooming, and it goes across the board. It's not a specific demographic. It's not a specific race or nationality. You know, there are people, and the argument is from a lot of people, well, hold on, you can deport people who were foreigners once or who have a, sort of ancestry from foreign lands. But what about people like Rolf Harris? I mean, where would you deport him?
He's Australian.
So, right. So where would you deport him? Shouldn't he have been sent back and deported? So if we're going to apply the law equally, it should apply to everyone. I mean, no one's a fan of criminals. No one wants to live in a community where there's rapists and groomers and
I think
murderers.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean, but I think the argument to that would be if there's any opportunity whatsoever to get a predatory paedophile out of your country, then you would take that, right? So,
or keep them locked up.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head here, because it's exactly what I was about to ask you. Because, for example, Ralph, who's one of these people, he's a father of 5 himself, so good grief, what chance do they have? But, well, that's the irony. He's probably quite a good dad to his own kids and just didn't mind desecrating the lives of others.
Well, social services should be involved in that. They should be involved.
Mad, isn't it? Well, he was convicted. Sorry, he was convicted of trafficking a 15-year-old girl for sex, jailed for 6 years, and this is what I want to ask you, because he served 2.5 years of his sentence before being released in 2014. 2.5 years for that crime and being part of a grooming gang is pretty shocking, isn't it?
A lot of sentences, and I see it as a lawyer myself, leave a lot to be desired. I mean, they even shock people like me who see sentencing every day. And I'm thinking, I am a dad. I've got 2 small kids. If that is something that happened to my 10-year-old daughter, I wouldn't want them to be out in 2.5 years. I think 6 years should mean 6 years, or at least close to 6 years. 2.5 is not close to 6 by any account, not if you round it up or down. So a lot of the sentencing does need to be desired, but that's where the government needs to look at the sentencing guidelines, needs to get the committees, get the consultations in, consult the public, and consult lawyers and judges, and then issue guidelines to judges. Look, that these are the guidelines. This should happen, and that leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, if these people had got 20 years, and 20 meant 20, then deportation wouldn't have been an issue.